Welcome back to another episode of Meat Speak, powered by the certified Angus beef brand. I'm Bryan Self. With me, Chef Tony. Big Chef, how you doing?
Oh my gosh, you're looking dapper today in that tuxedo, baby.
You know, I always try and look my best.
Oh my gosh, you must be going to the ballpark after this episode.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. So you have a history as a among all of your culinary exploits as a singing waiter. So I thought I would sing a few bars with you, and you have to tell me what's missing here. So are you ready for this?
Okay.
Right.
You're gonna sing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, are we good?
Right, okay.
So it goes, take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Wait for it. Buy me some Rocky Mountain oysters and sashimi.
Are you kidding me?
What's wrong with it?
I think I know where you're going here, baby.
Yeah, right? You know, it's a funny thing. Stadium eats, right? Sports are certainly as popular as they've ever been. But it's funny. You go to the ballpark, and there was always this, this idea that when you got to the ballpark, you'd get your hot dog, right? You'd get your,
Get your hot dogs
right?
here.
Right?
Get your hot dogs here.
In Cleveland, you'd get your pop, or right, if you're outside of Cleveland or in some other, you'd get your soda, right? You'd sit down and you'd watch the game, and that was part of the grand experience. But as you look around at stadiums, be they baseball stadiums, football stadiums, kind of you name it, the food options are growing like crazy. You know,
Amazing.
Yeah, you're a Boston guy. Right, you grew up watching the Sox, right? I mean, tell me about a wee Tony Biggs, right? You went to the Fenway, right?
Oh, Fenway, get your hot nuts here. Get your hot nuts here. Are you kidding me? Wow, my mother is not going to want to hear this, but I'm 62 years old, and she's probably going to listen to this podcast. But Mom, there was times I would skip school with my buddies, take the train into Kenmore Square and buy Red Sox tickets, bleacher seats for $2 a piece. Okay? And the greatest thing that I can remember is having that hot dog here, that hot dog in a little plastic bag that's in a steam box, and when you open it up, it is just steaming hot, and those are called Fenway Franks, and of course, Golden's mustard, brown mustard. That's the official mustard of the Boston Red Sox.
Hold on, I got to stop you there because you said mustard, and that to me says you've been living in Ohio too long. Say it like a true Bostonian, please.
Mustard.
That's right.
Mustard, baby. And you know what? You're so spot on. You know, when I grew up at the Garden and going to see the Celtics and the Red Sox, all you got was some hot nuts, hot dogs, and a hot pretzel. Okay?
Yeah.
And a hot pretzel. That would be it. But you know what? Food has changed, and you're going to tell us what is the weirdest food at stadiums now.
Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of funny. People would complain about the stadium experience getting too expensive. And rather than maybe lower those prices for those hot dogs that you've been buying, well, to their credit, stadiums have just upped their game from a food standpoint.
Big time.
If you look around, and I'd like to say that I toured the circuit and pulled all these on my own. I did not. I did the simple thing, and I used Google as my friend. But, certainly some of the things that jump out, you can get Blue Smoke, of course, in New York City, the barbecue joint. If you go to Citi Field or if you go to Washington National Stadium in Washington, D.C., you can actually get bone-in smoked beef short ribs. I mean, we're talking, right, the long bone short ribs at a baseball game, right? Now, that's it's not a weird food by any stretch, but certainly in the compounds of a baseball game, it certainly is. But if you really take a tour around American stadiums right now, you'll find things like if you go to Safeco up in Seattle. I knew Safeco because they were the first stadium I can remember in the late 90s that offered sushi to their guests.
Wow.
Right. Today,
Sushi.
though, you can get toasted grasshoppers.
Wow, that's new and different.
Yeah, Coors Field in Colorado, where of course the Colorado Rockies play. They've always been known for having Rocky Mountain oysters, which, if you aren't aware of a Rocky Mountain oyster, it's not seafood.
Yes.
It's we'll just say it's the if you're a male, it's the painful part of the bull to picture in your head. They actually take them and make them into po' boys, right? And if you get out to Levi's Field in San Francisco, to their credit, they're using the local cuisine. They have Dungeness crab pretzels, which actually looks like a hoagie roll. It's a pretzel hoagie roll with Dungeness crab in it, which sounds tremendous.
I can do that.
As a chef and as somebody with with some real culinary cred, for somebody in your shoes, if a stadium were to reach out to you, as specifically a stadium of a team that you supported very, very feverishly,
New England Patriots.
Yeah, right.
No bones about it.
Would you take that as a compliment, or would you have to mull over that? Because as chefs in restaurants, the chefs that they're reaching out to are chefs who, they're not the C team, right? They are the well-known people. They are the people who they have built their reputation. Right. Because they have restaurants of real quality and of real recognition in their marketplaces, right? We've got some right here. We're 40 miles south of Cleveland. We can list them off. As a chef, do you see, first, do you take that as a compliment? And two, is it something that you would really consider when you figure that's not my staff that's going to be pulling this off? Those are my recipes, but I'm not there to give this the oversight. Is there a hesitation that you might worry about your reputation?
I think when you get into these deals with the Aramarks of the world, who the Delaware Norths of the world, who run these stadium foods, I think when you sit down with these folks and you give them a picture of your brand and what it means to you, they do a pretty darn good job of following what you want. I mean, it's been done all over around the world. Of course, who's the Hell's Kitchen chef? What's his name?
Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, Gordon Ramsay. He doesn't manage everything, but he has folks that oversee the development and recipe, making sure that his recipes are being followed. And of course, I'd be flattered. And these A chefs, of course, they want to have their name out there all the time, and that's another reason why I feel they do that from a PR standpoint. And if the New England Patriots came today, I would do my New England steak bites with certified Angus beef sirloin flap that's marinated in A1 sauce, Coca-Cola, and then I would probably deep fry those, a little bit of blue cheese dressing on those. Brian, can you just taste them now? Huh? Can you?
I would actually go to a Patriots game if that was on offer. So, and I don't do the football. Chef, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back here in a few minutes. We're gonna sit down with a long time friend of ours who happens to be from Cleveland, from up the road. And when we were discussing this whole topic, he was the one that came to mind because his name is Matt Mytro, and Matt Mytro, along with his business partner and co-chef Paul Manillo, operate a restaurant in Cleveland called Flower, which is very, sort of old school meets new school Italian food. If you go to Quicken Loans Arena, now Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, home of the Cleveland Cavaliers, you'll see Chef Mytro's picture on a kiosk, and it's called Launch Kitchen. And for 3 or 4 years, the boys from Flower Restaurant have been serving up food or offering up food at the home of the Cavaliers to game goers and concert goers and you name it. And Matt's going to sit down with us and talk a little bit about what that experience has been, the positives, the struggles, just the overall experience, because we know there are a lot of people who get opportunities like this and maybe are in the process right now of thinking it over. So stay tuned. We're going to be back in a couple minutes with Matt Mytro from Flower Restaurant in Cleveland. Back on the Meat Speak podcast, coming to you from the east side of Cleveland, from Flower Restaurant. With me, my good man, Chef Matt Mytro. How you doing?
Doing good, Brian. Thanks for having me here, man.
Man, thanks for having me. I'm, halfway through a burger at an Italian joint. And let me tell you something. If you listen to the podcast for any amount of time, I will be the guy who goes into an Italian restaurant and orders the burger. And y'all are representing, I got to tell you. It's a fine burger.
I appreciate that. We're an Italian restaurant, so we don't really, we're not known for our burger, but I know you've always given me a lot of love when it comes to the certified Angus beef burger that we have here.
Man, it is much appreciated. Chef, I wanted to talk to you because you are very much in the thick of sort of this growing trend that's going around the country. It's happening here in Cleveland, of course, but it's happening in a lot of places where a lot of stadium concepts, of course, here in Cleveland, we have the Cleveland Browns, Cleveland Indians, Cleveland Cavaliers, who are turning a lot of their food service offerings during games, during concerts, anything in the stadium, and they're looking for those local chefs with a strong reputation to bring in a concept. You have, for the past several years, you've had Launch Kitchen at Quicken Loans Arena, and you just launched, forgive me, it's a flour pizza company, and I saw on the banner it says, by Chef Matt Mytro. Very nice. And could you just talk us through that? When, I guess, how long have you been doing this? And how did this all get started? Did they approach you? Did you bring a business plan? How did this all come to be?
Yeah, so definitely a really cool opportunity. The way this all came about actually is a good friend, chef friend of mine, Chris Hutchins, was responsible for introducing me to the Aramark crew. They had a lot of, they knew a lot about us and everything, so we obviously had a good reputation. And they were launching this thing called Launch Kitchen. So the idea of Launch Kitchen basically was they were able to turn over that concession stand I'm not sure if they did by quarter, but essentially, every month or every 2 or 3 months or whatever they wanted to. And it was the first of its kind in stadiums because everything was digital. So they were able to upload a lot of graphics like on the spot. Like they could literally have a video camera there taking pictures and then take it, down into their control room and upload it. It was really, really cool. So that was the first process of the stadium. And so we had one concept there that we did in the Launch Kitchen, and then we did something with 2 other chefs where each chef had 2 or 3 items. It was local chef Karen Smalls from Flying Fig and also Fabio Salerno from Lago, both dear friends of mine. And so we had 2 items during the playoffs. And that was really cool because not only is it cool to have your food there and your name and your brand and everything, but it was also some friendly competition going along because we would see the product mix after each game the next day, and we would kind of bust each other's balls who sold the most of what and this and that. So there's some good friendly wagers going on there and good camaraderie. But so that's kind of how that all started, and then when I guess through the process of working with Aramark over the last couple of years. Last year they were in the transition of building up some clubs. So they have the for those of you who don't know, the Cavaliers have I think 6 or 7, maybe less. Maybe that's exaggerated, but whatever. They have X amount of new club levels, and each club level is very unique and more expensive and etc. And they have I guess you want to call them celebrity chefs or whatever you want to call it, but and they're not doing just locally. They're even bringing some people from out of the state, and they're coming in there and allowing them to cook. So we did that last year, and that was a lot of fun. We did a couple different pasta dishes in a couple different clubs, and then with the transformation of which used to be the Q, now the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, they came to us and asked us to do a pizza concept, which was kind of interesting on its own because pizza there has always been a corporate sponsorship. And so because Domino's or Rascal House or whatever corporate style pizza it would be, they would actually pay the team, right, in order to get their brand and product in there. And since just with everybody wanting local and being more focused around that's kind of dissolved. So that's kind of where, when they approached us, we're like, this is kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity, and we were just ecstatic.
As you launched this new concept, as you were, at launch, I mean, obviously you're coming from Flower Restaurant, which, we were just talking before we started recording. I mean, for as long as I've known you, Flower has been in the Cleveland vernacular as one of the 4 best restaurants in Cleveland, really, since you guys opened. I mean, it's Paul Manillo, who's, of course, is, the godfather of Cleveland cuisine.
The OG.
But how has it been being able to take something that, I won't disclose how many times I've eaten here. We'll say more than a few. How has it been being able to translate what you guys do out here, which is a very high level of execution menu in terms of the things that you guys put on a plate? How do you take that, or do you even attempt to translate that to a stadium setting? I mean, how do you craft those dishes at the stadium that are going to be a good representation of who you guys are, but it's not necessarily you or Paul or David Chin in the kitchen doing it?
Yeah, that's a good question. We have a good relationship with Aramark and the team that they have at Aramark, Chef Joe, and everyone else there, from the GM Adam Zane and the president Kevin. Those guys are all, they know what they're doing, and so there's a lot of trust there with us. We send our recipes over to them. I mean, they facilitated the whole build out. I mean, I was a part of the process in terms of picking things out with them, and they always would defer to me. Are you okay with this? And do you believe in this and whatever? But they were always, they allowed us to have control, but we don't really necessarily have to have 100% control because there's a lot of trust there. We're allowed to pop into the stadium whenever we need to, so we can go. So, for example, last week was their. We actually, technically, we're still kind of modifying things. I'm not going to sit here and say it's perfect over there yet, but we literally weren't even able to really get in there and actually start like spinning dough and testing out the pizza oven or anything until Sunday of about a week and a half ago. And then the grand opening was a week later, and then the Black Keys concert, Modest Mouse concert, which was awesome. That was on Monday. So, but that's how skillful the staff is. That's how knowledgeable Chef Joe Bachman is. It's just a lot of trust. They use, these are the ingredients I want. So a good example, we use McKinsey goat cheese as a local goat cheese producer here. Same thing with, we get a fromage blanc from this Rowdy Cow. I'm not sure if you feel creamery, but so I'm like, this is what we want for the pizzas. They made sure we got it. They're grinding whole wheels of grana in. They're making the pizza dough. They're slicing the pepperoni. They're making Paul's sausage. I mean, they're doing it exactly to our specs. So
in terms of the people that you would get to interact with, the clientele. I mean, you guys are out here on the east side of Cleveland, and I mean east side. You're pretty far out here. Sure. Do you guys look at that, or do you see a lift in what happens here? Because you're probably exposed to a lot of people down there that maybe don't make the trek out here or have never been here before. I mean, have you guys gotten much feedback? Do you guys get people to come in and say, hey, I saw your picture on the Jumbotron at, Old Quicken Loans Arena and come out here because that was their foray into flour?
So, I mean, it's hard to tell. When we had the launch kitchen, it was only for a period of time, so it wasn't for a full season. This is going to be for a full 5 seasons. So we haven't really been able to evaluate that yet. I mean, I think the brand awareness is there. Obviously, people from the east side, since the inception of that stand, which was a little over a week and a half ago or so, just through social media and all of that, definitely people are talking and saying congrats and that stuff. So it's definitely resonating. It's hard to know if, my thought process is, our current customers are able to get a pizza. They know the brand. They don't have to worry if it's going to be good or not. And then people who are on the west side, hopefully that we don't ever plan on opening another restaurant. So, or at least another flour. So hopefully people who are on the west side that are unable to make that trek, they can at least say, hey, you know what, this is flour, and then they're able to enjoy that. But we haven't had any actual analytics or anything.
Right. When you guys were proposed with this idea, I mean, you've got flour, which is going gangbusters for years and years and years now. You have a new pasta company, right? And now you have this. Was there any hesitation, or when you and Paul got together and talked about this, was this just a no-brainer?
Yeah, it was a no-brainer. And Paul, like you said in the beginning, he's the OG. So he says, he's like the Don, right? So what he says goes. And, in my younger years, I was like, let's do another restaurant, and he's always like, no. So, the pasta company's been good. It's been a new way for us to build our brand and to allow staff to grow and everything like that. But with the pizza shop, it really is. It's a no-brainer. It's the marketing value that we get for our brand is huge. I mean, there's a minimum of over 20,000 people walking through that door. per game, so that's 40 games a year, another like 10 to 15 events a year. I know that now with this new stadium, they're really trying to push to do even more. So just the brand recognition is a no-brainer. And then on top of that, it does allow us to, we do, we're not going to get rich off of it, but, there's a little extra income coming in, and that helps too, Yeah.
Excellent. One last thing just before we run out of time. Flower Restaurant, Flower Pasta Company, Flower Pizza Company by Matt Mytro at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. It's going to take me a while to get used to that. And I still call Progressive Field the Jake. So it's going to take about 20 years. The Rocket, the Rock. Give us some plugs, man. Tell us what people can expect, whether they come here, whether they get your pasta that you guys are making that seems to be more and more readily available at retail, and where can they find it? And, what are some of the pizzas that you guys have down at the Fieldhouse?
Well, I mean, at Flower, it's just all about integrity here, and about quality. And I mean, as a chef, we just try to pursue perfection as best as we can. It's simple food. There's nothing over the top here. It's pizzas, pastas, some of your basic Italian entrees. And then with the pasta company, same thing. We just try to translate that chef-driven integrity into our brand. All our pastas are made fresh, on demand, so that you can get them in some mostly some local grocery stores, a couple places in Michigan and Illinois. So some of our Midwest listeners, definitely see if you can hook a brother up. But same thing, wholesale too. Some of the restaurants are buying, and that's great. With this whole evolution of of extruders, here it's popular, and we definitely can provide that style of pasta to those who don't can't afford an extruder or don't have the staff for it or whatever. And then with the pizza company, we we have 4 pizzas over there right now. We have our fungi pizza, so it's just real simple mushroom pizza, and then pepperoni pizza, cheese pizza, and a sausage pizza, and there's a Caesar salad, which we only sold 1 last week of those, so we'll see if that stays on the menu. But that's what the people can expect.
One last question. Cavaliers season's about to start. Are we making the playoffs?
Let's see. I don't know. I'm focused on the Browns right now.
Chef Matt Mytro, Flower Restaurant on the east side of Cleveland, Flower Pasta Company, Flower Pizza Company, and by the way, that's FLOUR, just in case you're searching on the worldwide internet. Chef, thanks for taking time, brother. Back here on the Meat Speak podcast, powered by the certified Angus beef brand, here about 40 miles south of that fine gentleman's restaurant, Matt Mytro from Flower in Cleveland. There's a lot of pride wrapped up in those two. So, Chef, as somebody who is a rabid sports fan, right?
Yes.
Right. What
Yes.
is your favorite bite that you've ever had in a stadium?
Wow. I got to tell you, I lived in New Orleans for 2 years, and this is when I was associated with the Second Harvest Food Bank.
Yeah.
And what a great organization that is. I had a great chance to open that kitchen, that 10,000 square foot community kitchen that produced 2 million meals a year. The Saints would come in, Drew Brees, all these guys would come in and volunteer and pack food. And occasionally, they'd slip us a few tickets and we'd be able to go to the games. And I have to tell you, I was just blown away by the Mercedes-Benz Superdome food. I mean, one of the things they did was a seafood nacho. Are you kidding me? Okay. With crab, shrimp, scallops, loaded with cheese. It was just amazing. And the gumbos and beignets with Café du Monde coffee. It was just, everything that you could find outside the stadium was inside the stadium.
Yeah.
It was just really special. And that's the beauty about New Orleans. They just don't serve a hot dog. They make sure the hot dog's first class New Orleans style.
That's right. New Orleans people are very proud of their culture.
My
right?
gosh, crayfish and everything.
Yeah. You know what is funny is you do see that stadiums everywhere are looking to incorporate flavors of that
indigenous to the area.
Yeah. It's not just roll in, grab a dog, grab a burger.
Now this one kind of threw me back. the goat dumplings at Houston Texan Stadium.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? It's
Well,
a little different.
All right, a little different, but
Yeah.
I'd like to try those.
Yeah.
Right? Would you?
Oh, I would. I
mean-
have never shied away from goat. If I see a goat, I know that either I'm going to eat that or he and I are going to be friends, right?
Or he's going to mow your grass. Okay,
right.
that's what's going to
I
happen.
am always in favor of goats in any variety. One of the best tastes I think I ever had at a stadium, and it's funny. It actually happened outside of this country, but it was a dish that is for me, it's the most American thing there is, right? It's starch, it's cheese, it's bacon, it's gravy, it's poutine.
Equals,
Right? Yeah,
poutine, right?
Yeah. So I was at Le Stade Olympique, or Olympic Stadium in Montreal, Canada.
Nice.
It was a weekend series in 2004 where the Montreal Expos, just weeks before they were going to pack up and head to Washington D.C. to become the Nationals. One of the most memorable things about that was sitting behind the first base dugout,
Nice.
watching Frank Robinson and just having my face and every other surface area available just covered with grease.
I
from
can picture
poutine.
this. I can picture.
Delightful.
Did you save your ticket stub? That's historic, right?
Absolutely,
Okay, that's good.
absolutely, yeah. And so I did my best to represent America on that day in Canada with the amount of poutine.
Was
that I
it poutine?
consumed,
I love it.
Right, nobody consumes starch,
Cheese curds,
right?
cheese curds on there, yeah,
All day long, my
Oh
friend, all day
gosh,
long.
Oh my gosh!
So, Chef, that is about all we have time for this week. If this is your first time tuning into the Meat Speak podcast, we invite you to continue to find us. You can find us across all major podcasting platforms, including Google Play, Apple, and Spotify. But just do a search for Meat Speak, or you can simply search for Certified Angus Beef Podcast, and you will find our delightful logo staring back at you. So until next time, Chef, we appreciate you
Bon
taking time.
appetit, Brian. You look great, and see you next time.
Go Patriots.